I remember that I read one more in English than in Portuguese. I hope you are so good in this day, a beautiful day with sun out of here, a Sunday. Continue the chapter 1, eating 11. An important, I will read the final of the chapter. Only one thing I forgot. However, I will read the final of this chapter, the last part. If they had been the work of God, he would not have touched them. Christ and Moses are the two great revelators who changed the face of the world. And therein lies, the proof of their divine mission. A purely human work would not have had such power. An important revelation is being fulfilled at the present time, that which shows us the possibility of communicating with the being of the spirit world. Such knowledge is not new, of course. However, until now it had remained more or less disregarded, that is, without any benefit to humankind. Ignorance of the laws that govern such relations had smoltered then under superstition. Humans were incapable of deriving any sound conclusion from them. It was reserved for our own era to disentangle them from their nonsensical accessories, to comprehend their scope, and to set free the light that must illuminate the course of the future. By enabling us to know the invisible world which surrounds us, and in the midst of which we live without suspecting it, the laws that govern it, its relations with the visible world, the nature and state of the beings who inhabit it, and consequently the destiny of the human being after that. Spiritism is a true revelation in the scientific meaning of the word. But by its very nature, Spiritist revelation had a dual character. It derived simultaneously from a divine and a scientific revelation. It derives from the former, the fact that his advent was providential and not the result of initiative and premeditated desire. It's not the result of this, of any one human being in particular. Is not the result of the initiative and premeditated desire of any one human being in particular. That the fundamental points of the doctrine come from the teachings given by the spirits appointed by God to enlighten humans about matters of which they were ignorant and could not learn by themselves, but which they must now know, now that they are mature enough to understand them. It derives from the letter in that such teachings are not the privilege of any one individual, but were given to the whole world through the same means, that those who transmit them and those who receive them are not passive subjects excused from the work of observation and research, that they are not called to renounce their own reason and free will. It's important to know this. Spiritism is a consequence of work of human beings with logical thought, with high spirits and various levels of spirits until the inferior spirit. All these spirits gave a contribute to we now in this time and those time, and more or less 1850, the year 1855, more or less the year. Then was a serious work from Kardec to analyze answers, to think with logical thoughts, to question spirits all time. See the book, Spirits book, all time. Kardec ask and ask and ask the same, various times. One question originated various others questions, caused the spirit of investigation that Kardec drive this work, was drive with a spirit of questioning and observing and conclude the logical form ever. It derives from the letter in that such teachings are not the privilege of any one individual, not only one individual, no, but were given to the whole world through the same means, that those who transmit them and those who receive them are not passive subjects excused from the work of observation and research, that they are not called to renounce their own reason and free will. They are not called this, contrary this, that scrutinizing them is not prohibited, but on the contrary, recommended, and finally that the doctrine has not been dictated in its entirety nor impose it upon a blind faith, but rather that it's deduced through human endeavor from the observation of the phenomena that spirits place right before our eyes. And from the teachings, they give teachings that people can study, comment on, and compare, and from which they themselves draw conclusions and applications. In other words, what characterizes Spiritist revelation is that its source in divine. That is initiative belongs to the spirits, and that is development is the result of work of men and women. As a means of development, Spiritism proceeds exactly in the same way as the positive sciences. It applies the experimented method. When phenomena of a new order occur that cannot be explained by known laws, Spiritism observes, compares, and analyzes them, and tracing the effects back to the causes. It arrives at the law governing them. Afterward, it deduces their consequences and searches for their useful applications. It establishes no preconceived theory. Thus, it sets forth as a hypothesis neither the existence or intervention of spirits, the perispirit, reincarnation, nor any of the doctrine's principles. It concluded that spirits exist when such existence was deduced from the evidence derived from observing the phenomena, and it proceeded likewise regarding the other principles. It was not the phenomena that came as an afterthought or confirmed the theory, but the theory that came subsequently to explain and summarize the phenomena. This is entirely correct to state that Spiritism is a science of observation and not a product of the imagination. The sciences have made no serious progress except when their studies have been based on the experimental method. However, to this day, it's believed that this method is applicable only to matter. Nonetheless, it's equally applicable to things metaphysical. 15. Let us cite an example. In the world of spirits, a very odd occurrence may be observed, which certainly no one would have suspected. There are some spirits who don't believe they are actually dead. Well, then, highly evolved spirits who know this fact perfectly well didn't come to say beforehand. There are spirits who believe they are still living in earthly life, who have retained their tastes, habits, and instincts, Rather, they caused spirits of this category to manifest themselves so what we could observe them. Consequently, having observed spirits who were uncertain of their state, or who stated that they were still in this world and believed they were attending to their normal occupations from the example was derived the rule. The great number of such phenomena showed us that this was no exception, but one of the phases of spiritual life. It enables us to study all the varieties and causes of this odd illusion to realize that this situation is principally characteristic of spirits who are only slightly advanced morally. That is peculiar to certain kinds of death, and that is only temporary, although it can last for days, months, or years. It was thus that the theory was born from the observation. The same has occurred with all the other principles of the doctrine. Pay attention. If you are so much attached of all things, you don't accept the fact that one day you must left all things here. You are a serious victim of your attachment after that. Because this will create in your head the pain or the afraid of that will create a great field of illusion in your mind and will make you believe you still are here, living the same way. And you start talk with people in your family, they don't will answer to you. Out of your house, you don't got open doors, get a cup in hand, you start feel hungry. You start hungry, you don't will be capable, and others occurrences in your body, but it's not from real body that you left in this planet. It's your second body, a body so much sensitive. And you start make confusions because you don't can accept you are dead. Generally, for various years I worked to help this type of problem in spirits. Generally, only with intervention of spiritual plane, high spirits, the spirit can wake up in other dimension and perceive that don't have more the body, this grosser body. The great number of such phenomena showed us that this was no exception, but one of the phases of spiritual life. It enabled us to study all the varieties and causes of this odd illusion to realize that this situation is principally characteristic of spirits who are only slightly advanced morally. That is peculiar to certain kinds of death, and that is only temporary, although it can last for days, months, or years. It was thus that the theory was born from the observation. The same has occurred with all the other principles of the doctrine. And I will stop only here 3 items, because I only read this in Portuguese, okay? I hope you like it, this information, and understand the Spiritism isn't a work from one person. No. Kardec only organized it because he had excellent didactic, organized it in questions, and divided all themes in 5 books, and take all time to us make questions, to us see with our logical dots what the spirits are saying. And you will so good to you make. Think about not only and receive without questions. No, this is not a characteristic of Spiritists nor from Spiritism. Spiritism was organized by a scientific person, Kardec, and created all questions in which them inside Spiritism. Then I hope you have a great final week, and God bless all. Let me see, I think it's here, yes.